Okay. Today I want to talk about the fall of California. It's not really a new thing, but I guess you gotta stay with me if you want to understand where I'm coming from. So, I did not I feel like I had an idea because like when I moved out of California, and I will say I was living in Northern California, but I feel like unless you're living in, well, I don't know. A lot of people, I think, in Santa Barbara are also affected by the fires. It's like everywhere that you would want to live. Well, I can't be sure. But I was kind of gonna get to the point like everywhere you'd want to live, like Santa Barbara or maybe some parts of the Hollywood Hills, but people were affected there too. So like I'm not sure what's left, but I know at least in the Bay Area, like some people, a lot of people are living with their parents, right? They just have never moved out. And so they're kind of starting pseudo lives that are contingent on their parents' like income. There's other people who have like figured out ways to make it, but they're not really like surviving very well. Like I know some people are like principals or things like that, and you just don't really make like that much money. So you are surviving, but kind of just barely. And then like there are the tech people who I feel like are doing okay. They probably have like a more enjoyable life. But there's just kind of the collapse of the infrastructure, which is a really big issue. And I just kind of want to talk about for a moment a couple of things. And I think I made like a slide deck about this, but I might save it for another video and then just link that video below this one. Let's talk about things that actually matter as an adult, like when you move away from your parents, or you're thinking about where you want to live, how you want to live, things like that. I feel like so many people don't talk about it. First of all, you want to think about like the culture of the place. What I mean by that is like the people who are living there, what are the things that they value and how do those relate to your own values? If those things are like very far apart, like for myself, I actually really value like justice and equity. So like I want to feel like if someone is breaking the law, if someone is treating me unfairly, that they are going to be held accountable. If I feel like that is not the case, I don't want to live there. That's not the place for me. And like that's one of the ways I've found that to be true in Nashville, where sometimes like when things are going wrong, I didn't feel like I got justice, right? I feel like in California, it's almost like extreme liberalism, and really just like a lack of foundational infrastructure. I mean, we have just like roads that have potholes, departments that are completely overrun with crime or with like lawlessness, corruption, things like that. Like that is the majority of like the space. And if that's the case, anything that happens, you're not going to get due process. Like you're like just nothing is going to be able to like run effectively. Now I will also say some people have very they are comparing any state and any government entity and any to in the States to develop the developing world. So, you know, comparing it to like, oh, but look what's happening in Venezuela, or look at what's happening in Ethiopia. These are like developing countries. We're not talking about like Britain or like, I don't know, somewhere that's developed, that's like equal. You know what I'm saying? But I also think just there are certain things that I saw, and I will actually probably make this the thumbnail for the video, and I kind of want to go a little bit into depth in it. It was basically this picture of, so I'm just going to read the title. Baby found with umbilical cord still attached in critical condition after being left outside in the freezing Texas weather. Now, I feel like maybe in another lifetime this would have been sad, but I kind of feel like I understand why this happened. I understand why we'll probably see like a lot more stories of this happening and like how we got here. I feel like that's where I am now. Like I almost want to know the story of the mother, the father. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like I kind of already know, so I don't need to. I don't have really any questions. I feel like I already understand. You know. This like you actually hear like when we're talking about the Gen Z who are coming on TikTok on the social media platforms every day and complaining about things. They're complaining about the cost of living. They're complaining about how everyone's generation had it easier than ours. They're complaining about like really everything. Oh, there's no advancement in jobs, quiet quitting, moving out, can't move out, relationship drama. Just really every problem is like right in your face. And some people are wondering like, how do you get that? Like it is not, I don't know. I feel like I've said it once, but you could say it like a million times. Like, I do not think it is a good time to like invest in families. It's like required for the continuation of a society, but maybe this is like kind of like earth to people here. I don't know if we should continue the society like this. When people are screaming for change, I think that it's about time people start listening. And it's not like people, like oblivious people out there. I'm talking about like, let's have this conversation right now so that like we can actually make some change for us. Like just think about this in terms of like your own life. Nobody cares what the others are talking about. Like a lot of them are going down really bad life paths and they have not course corrected yet. Like one thing that I see, and I'll actually maybe edit and insert this. So this was a while ago. This had to be like, it wasn't that long ago. It was like 2023 or maybe 2024. Like the beginning though, like the beginning of 2024. I started posting obviously about like therapy sessions. I posted about a panic attack. And then I also saw that recently Mary Jane posted about a panic attack. And I was like, huh. And then I've also seen a lot of other Black creators all of a sudden posting this content that is about, it's not even like coming of age. They're not like turning 18. It's content about like, they're like, I'm entering a new phase of life. And this is why I'm like leaving YouTube. I'm just going somewhere else. You know, I guess they're all planning to become like trad moms now. I have no issue with this. Like this is not me sitting here criticizing it in any way. I simply want you guys to acknowledge with me the changes that are happening. When I was putting out the content that was like the therapy sessions, the panic attack, I hadn't seen any other videos like that. Nobody was making content like that. Very unpopular and also very, very, very misunderstood. I guess the point that I want to make is like the majority of society is going to come in waves after we have already hit the finish line, really. Like the reason I focused on AI when I saw everyone else talking about web development is because I heard about it and then I asked about it and then I started watching talks from the creators. Then I started reading Sam's blog posts and then I saw what ChatGPT could do and I was like, oh, this is crazy. Like there's no need for anybody to be like coding anymore. That's crazy. Like now in 2025, you hear Mark Zuckerberg saying, yes, we have AI that can function at a level 2 engineer. And then you have Trump behind the wave. We need more H-1B visas to come in as level 2 programmers. What? You see how it's not making sense? That's just something that, you know, that we can see. You don't really need anyone to buy in. The point is not about buy-in. The point is for you to kind of like hear what I'm saying and then for you to like do something about it. for you to do something about it. Like, I just, I think, honestly, that the way forward is for us to tell our own stories. Like, the point is for us to tell our own stories. That's the one thing that can't be automated. Like your real life, your real lived experience, especially like the way that you like interpret it, that part no one else can like understand. No one else can um be. Like no one else can be you. That's why like literally you coming and just sharing your authentic experience. Yes, there's going to be people who come and they try to mimic it. They kind of try to be you, but the reality is like nobody can actually like be you, right? So that's a thing. But let's go back to California for a second and why I think it's like useful to unpack. So I saw that all the major artists, both Billies, I like both Billies, the Billie Eilish and Billy Joel from Green Day. Love them both. But they all were performing at this, like, it was like a benefit for the California wildfires. And like a lot of families are impacted by that, like quite a lot. So people are going to be very, very, very displaced. Except I don't think anything will change because the same people who had privilege in some of those spaces, like their family members have privilege as well. So now they can just go run to their family members and kind of maintain the same relative level of privilege in a different space. So they, they were like middle class in California. Their home burned down. They will go to Tennessee where they have relatives who are also middle class, and they will now just live out their rest of their temporary lives until that, resolves itself there. So for them, nothing is really going to change. It will be really sad to go to a new community, but their lives aren't drastically altered. But then there's going to be other people who had no safety net. Like that was their safety net. And now that rug will be pulled from under them. It is, right? That rug is gone. I guess there wasn't really a rug, right? So what are those people going to do? You realize like Frank Ocean was one of those people. I mean, we got great music, right? After Frank Ocean experienced that tragedy. So we might get like one Frank Ocean, but what about everyone else? And the concert, to me, it didn't feel positive. It felt like a mockery. It felt like a mockery where the extremely privileged people who are living there got on stage and sung songs about not really anything that had to do with the fire or like how to move forward. It was just like their song, like, what does Birds of a Feather have to do with the fire? It doesn't. And it's like a happy little charade circus performance that you can listen to and you can like slightly feel better about it, but it doesn't actually have anything to do with the fire. Like nothing. And I'm not saying all places are better, right? Remember when the was it the tornado hit parts of Tennessee? Those places are still recovering too. So the infrastructure was not totally great there, but I do think that the state just has a little bit more wherewithal. Like infrastructure is just not as broken as California. Like they don't have any water. Wild. Like you don't have water in a state. Just, I mean, God, yeah, I don't see myself going back, if I'm being honest, like probably ever. It's a lot. But on the other hand, I feel like I've seen something that I hadn't seen for the first time, and it could be because I just started following different people, which highly recommended you do that as well. But the following new people part enabled me to see that like the lifestyle that I admire, the kind of peace that I would like to enjoy in the rest of my life is like attainable in other places. And that's real. And that is real. I think that that is important to remember. And I think it's important to hopefully just use that information to make decisions about your own life. Like, don't you want to live in a place where the community around you cares about you as a human? Like, you feel like your neighbors would care if you didn't show up, or if something bad happened to you, like they would care. Wouldn't you want to live in that community or society? I mean, I would. Wouldn't you want to live in a society that has water? I do. I definitely do. It's just, oh gosh. I just feel like I don't know. Actually, I feel like I explained it very well. That's what I mean. That's it. Yeah.